welcome to Short Story Scene. I am your host, the storyteller, and here we have a tale called Inferno by Dante Alighieri. Canto 24. In the part of the youth year within the sun is locked beneath Aquarius tempers, and now the nights drew near in the half of the day. What time of the horror frost copies of the ground, an outward semblance of her sister white, but little less of the temper of her pen. The husbandman, whose forage faileth him, rises and looketh and seizes the champion, and gleaming white, and whereat he beats his flank, returns indoors and up and down laments, like a poor wretch who knows not what to do, when he returns and hope revives again. Seeing that the world has changed its countenance in little time, and takes his shepherd's crook, and forth the little lambs to pasture drives. Thus did the master fill me with the alarm, when I beheld his forehead so disturbed, and to the ailment came so long soon the plaster. For we came unto the ruined bridge, and the leader turned to me with his sweet look, which the mountain's foot I first beheld. His arms are open after some advisement, within himself elected, looking first well at the ruin, and laid hold of me. And even he who acts and meditates for AI seems that he provides beforehand. So upward lifting me towards the summit of a huge rock, he scanned another crag, saying, "To that one grapple afterwards, but try first if this such that it would hold thee." This was no way to one clothed with a cloak, for hardly he light and pushed upward, were able to ascend from jag to jag, and had it not been upon the precedent, shorter was the ascent than on the other. He and I not, but I had been dead beat. But because Milborg towards the mouth of the profoundest well is all inclining, the structure of each valley doth import that one bank rises and the other sinks. Still we arrive at length upon the point where from last stone breaks itself asunder, and breath from my lungs so milked away, when I was up and I could go no forward. Nay, I sat down upon my first arrival. Now it behooves thee thus I put off sloth. My master said, for sitting upon down or under quilt one cometh not to fame. Without out in which whose his life consumes, such visage leaveth in himself on earth, as smoke in the air or in the water foam. Therefore raises thee up and overcometh the anguish, and the spirit overcometh every battle. With its heavy body it sinks not. A longer stairway it behooves thee mount. 'Tis not enough for these to have departed. Let it avail thee, if thou understand me. Then I uprose, showing myself provided better than with breath than I did feel myself, and said, "Go on, for I am strong and bold." Upward we took our way along the crag, which jagged was the narrow and difficult, and more precipitous far than that before. Speaking I went not to appear exhausted, whereat a voice from the next moat came forth, not well adapted to articulate words. I know not what is said, though over the back I now was the arch that passes there, but he seemed moved to anger who was speaking. I was bent downward, but my living eyes could not attain the bottom for the dark. Wherefore I, master, see thou arrive at the next round. Let us descend the wall, for hence I hear and understand not. So I look down, and nothing I distinguish. Other response, he said, I make thee not, except the doing, for the modest asking ought to be followed by the deed in silence. We from the bridge descended at its head, where it connects itself with the 8th bank, and then was manifest to me the Bulgia, and I beheld therein the terrible throng of serpents, and of such monstrous kind, that the resemblance still congeals my blood. Let Libya boast no longer with her stand, and the Shiladri and Jagsuli and Pharia she breeds, with Kentri and with Amorpheus Biania, and neither of many flames nor of so malignant ere showed she with all euphoria, nor with whatever was the Red Sea is. Among the cruel and most dismal throng, people were riding naked and affrighted, without the hope of the whole or heliotrope, and they had their hands with serpents bound behind them, these riveted up upon their reins the tail and head, and wherein the front of them intertwined. And lo, at one who was upon our side, there darted forth serpents which transfixed him. There were the neck is knotted to the shoulders, nor so quickly ere no eye was written, and took fire and burned, and ashes wholly behooved it that the falling he became. And when he on the ground was thus destroyed, the ashes drew together and of themselves, and to himself they instantly return. Even thus by the greatest sages 'tis confused, and phoenix dies, then is born again, when it approaches its 500th year. On herb or grain it feeds not in its life, but only on tears of incense and ammonium, and nard with mirth are the last winding sheet. And as he is who falls, and knows not how, but forced by demons who are earth down drag him, and other opiation in the binds man. When he arises and around him looks, wholly bewildered by the mighty anguish which he has suffered, in looking sighs, such was the sinner after he had risen. Justice of God, oh how serve it is. And the blows like these are a vengeance poureth down. And the guide therefore asked him who he was, whence he replied, I reigned from Tuscany, and a short time since in the cruel gorge. A bestial life and not a human pleased me, even as the mule I was. I'm Fanny Fucci, beast, and Positoria was my wealthy den. And I unto the guide tell him not to stir not, and ask what crime has thrust him here below. And for once a man of blood and wrath I saw him. And the sinner who had heard dissembled not, and unto me directed mind and face, and with melancholy shame was painted, and said, It pains me more than thou hast caught me, amid the misery where thou seest me, than when I from the other life had taken. What thou demandest I cannot deny, so low am I put down because I robbed in scarcity of the fair ornaments, and falsely once 'twas laid upon another. But then thou mayest not such a sight enjoy, if thou shalt ever be out of the dark places. Thine ears to my announcement, Orpta here, Pisatoia, first of Nera, growth merger. Then Florence doth renew her men and manners. Mars draws a vapor up from Val di Magra, which with the turbid clouds enveloped around, with impetuous and bitter tempest. Over Campo Pincia shall be the bow, when I shall suddenly rend the midst asunder, so that each Bianco shall therefore by be smitten, and this I've said that I may give thee pain. And that ends our tale of Inferno by Dante Alighieri, Canto 24. If you like this content and would like to support it, please head on to Patreon. That is www.patreon.com/shortstoryscene. I'd like to thank Drac for all his help in being a patron. And thank you all for listening, and see you next episode. Bye.